So first, what are the basic expectations of a guest, and what does that look like? So the first thing is the guest wants to be fed, right? And that doesn't mean that they just want to fill their bellies. They actually want to be fed with food and drink that that maybe they can't create at home, that won't taste as good if they make it. And so they want to be fed, but they want the product quality to be there as part of the experience. The second thing is to be served. And what that looks like is obviously the steps of service that we've talked about in other videos is super important in this category. It means they expect that when they need a knife, there's a knife on the table. They expect that when their water is starting to get empty, that it's replaced. And so service is an expectation that they have. And it's not even just, really doing the bare minimum. Well, I brought you water, but I didn't refill it. It's the full service from the time you enter the restaurant to the time that you walk out of the restaurant. Service is going on through the entire process of the experience. The third thing is being cared for, and that's where hospitality plays a big role. They want to be cared for. They don't just want the knife on the table. They don't just want the water refilled. They want to know that you care enough about them to take care of their needs. Many times there's a lot of things going on in life, and just having a moment to yourself where someone's taking care of you, someone's showing you that you're important is a critical step. So the first thing is being fed, but with quality product. Second thing is being served, hitting all the steps, not having to look for things or ask for things, but having the server see things that are coming up and proactively serve the guest. And then third, the hospitality aspect of caring for them, making them feel important. And then finally, and this kind of encompasses the first three, feeling value of the experience. It means, was this a value experience for them? Did they pay more than they should have for the experience? Did they pay what they should have for the experience? And that's where the other three components really fall in. It doesn't mean that you have to lower your prices. It means that if you're going to have high-end steaks and bottles of wine, that there's a perceived value that when the guest finishes the experience, they feel like, heck yeah, I would have paid for that. So that's really the guest expectation. And next we're going to talk about how to exceed that. So what does it mean to exceed the guest expectation? There's really three categories that a guest experience can fall into. The first one is being underwhelmed, and that means that the guest did not feel that the quality of product, the service, hospitality, or value was there, and they're feeling underwhelmed. The second category is the whelmed category. Okay, you've met their expectations. You've done the things that we talked about earlier in this video, and the guest feels satisfied with the experience. They do see the value, and there's a good chance that they will come back at some point because they did believe that it was a good experience for them. And the third thing is being overwhelmed. And I know that word a lot of times is used in a negative connotation of, you're being overwhelmed with emotions or whatever, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. Being overwhelmed means that you weren't underwhelmed and you weren't whelmed. You were delighted. So the three categories: underwhelmed, whelmed, and overwhelmed. And it's important that we're always shooting for the overwhelmed category, and if we don't do that, then we're never going to exceed the guest expectation. So, what's the benefit of exceeding guest experiences? So there's really three things that are triggered by exceeding the guest expectation, or overwhelming them with a phenomenal experience. The first thing is that they are surprised and delighted, right? That I mentioned delighted in the last, earlier in this video, and people want surprise. They want good surprises, that is. They want to be delighted. And I've had experiences where, I have my go-tos for cocktails and food and wine when I'm out. And it's easy for me, if I'm going to do the work and pick the items, it's easy for me to gravitate towards my faves. But my best experiences I've ever had is when I've been surprised and delighted because the guest or the server or bartender has recommended something very different from where I was thinking, and it ended up really making the experience. And so I was so delighted and surprised in those situations that I literally wanted to hand the server or bartender my wallet and just say, just take whatever you want, because there was a perceived value there that I felt was so exceptional that I wasn't worried about the price. And that's really the second part of what's triggered is understanding and feeling like the experience that you had was a tremendous value, not just a value, but an exceptional value that that was probably worth more than what you paid. That's the second thing. And when you can do those two things, when you can surprise and delight, and when you can share an experience with someone that is so outstanding that someone would have paid more for it, and they feel the value, that's when you truly create raving fans. And that's our goal. We want to create raving fans. We don't want to create fans. We don't want to create one-time guests. We want to create raving fans. And the difference between someone who may come back because they had a whelmed experience, their needs were met, their expectations were met, they may or may not come back. When you truly create raving fans, not only do they become your regulars and your best VIPs, but they also go out and tell the world. They become the mavens for you, and they're out spreading the word of mouth, which is the greatest form of advertisement. So those are really the three things that providing a guest experience that exceeds the guest expectation. Those are three benefits. And next week in part 3, we'll talk about how to exceed the guest experience.